Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. Being broadcast live on Truth Frequency Radio, iHeartRadio, tune in and TalkStream Live. And sure hope y'all can hear me just fine. I've got the sniffles again. Goodness. I gotta tell you, I am a horrible sick person. I whine. I whine a lot. I hope everyone's doing okay and having a jolly good evening. And la la la, where am I? Here I am. And if you're listening over on YouTube World, say hello, hello YouTube. And no matter how you are listening, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, say like, hello, subscribe, all that jazz. All right. Everybody says I'm being really quiet, so I gotta turn me up. Woot woot. Is this better? Now you can really hear me sniffle. Yeah, see, there's a sniffle. All right, so testing. 1, 2, 3. Check, check. Can you all hear me? Oh, yes. It's a lovely Friday evening. I can tell it's a new moon, and we have a weather system moving in because, yeah. Oh, my goodness. All right, there. I'm all cranked up. I don't think I can crank anymore. Yep, I think that's pretty much it, guys. Ooh, maybe we'll try this one. Hey, look at that. I found another button to touch. Just wait, Daw's going to come back and look at his soundboard and wonder what on earth I touched now. Oh, yeah. There we go. I can really hear me. Alrighty. So, no matter how you are hearing me, make sure you stop in and say hello. I'm glad you're here. Glad you want to join me and on my crazy journey as I learn more about me and my pagan path and my journey. And you can support the show by going to the Etsy shop. It's www.etsy.com/shop/Monarch Mountain Studio. Mountain is MTN. Or you can check out the website. It is www.patreon.com/the-spaces-between. Or you can always email me. I love emails. It's wildpaisley@gmail.com. That's WILDEPAISLEY@gmail.com. And the phone lines are open tonight. Yup, yup. So that number is 213-233-3998. Or if you're across the pond in the UK, it is 44203-393-2871. So, it's new moon tonight, I believe. Isn't that what it is? Feels like a new moon. New moon. Can't spell. January 2020. I love having internet at my fingertips. It is awesome. Yep, today's a new moon. So, hey, new moon, set your intentions. What are your intentions? Sage. First, I'm going to light some sage. It won't last very long because this one's pretty tightly bound. That's something, random side note. If you are wrapping your own sage to burn as incense, you need to make sure that you wrap it tight enough to keep it contained, but also not so tight that it doesn't smolder or burn and whatnots. So, also, I got to thinking, with the new moon, I don't know about y'all, but I have had kind of an interesting week, and it has been kind of rough, actually. And I have a pen. So, I have my handy dandy little candle here, and I'm going to do a quick intention thing because, yeah, I need just some start-overs, some do-overs. Just what am I setting out there to put into the world tonight? Mostly, there's been a lot of negative stuff in the last week because life and family and just stuff, it happens. It happens to all of us, I think, that we have just family stuff. So, So yeah, I just want kind of a cleansing, clean slate, let some of the energy go, and just move on with the next little bit with some much better energy. So I just wrote it on a piece of paper. I'm dropping my little jar here. Ooh, and I'm gonna label my sage again. Get it good and smoldery. So everybody will think I'm smoking something down here. Ah, yeah. Yes. Say your intentions as I got my little flame going here. So thank you. I appreciate it. And then bottom of the hour, I've got an article I want to talk about. So yeah. But let's start off with some intentions and intuitions. I talk about intentions a lot. Oh, real quick. In the chat room, I see there's Andrea, Psycho, Jan for Peace, Todd253, Brent. Hey, Brent. Thanks for the shout out in TFR in Paranormal Portal. That's awesome. And then I see Black Tree. Hi, Julia. Nese, Elaine, Marilena, Nessie, excuse me, and Sonia. And there was someone else in here. Not yet. All right. Well, hi, all. Hope you're all having a good evening. Yeah, Nessie, it has been, kind of an interesting evening, yes. So, interesting day. I've been feeling a lot of, hey Lois, a lot of pressure in my head today and this week, more so than usual, and that's been kind of frustrating. And headaches, and my vision's been weird, and yeah, it's been awesome. So I got to thinking, as I sniffle, let's talk about intuition. So intuition basically, at its very just generic definition, is the ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning. And so basically, allow your intuition to guide you, for instance. It's, it's an instinctive thing. Something that you know instinctively, whether it's a feeling or emotion or just this thing, rather than conscious reasoning or learning, And because intuition is a bit kind of like water, and this is kind of a quote from, it's not kind of a quote, it is a quote from an article that Jacqueline Cherie did. She's the creatrix of the Nephilim Rising, and I just thought this little blurb was really interesting. Because intuition is like water. It's fluid in motion. It takes what it wants. It does not ask permission. It just is. It is the vision in your mind's eye right before something is about to happen, and poof, it does. It's that feeling of dread when something bad happened to someone in your tribe. It is the anxiety that has no source when the collective is getting restless. It is the voice inside your head pushing you to go forward, because just beyond that place of doubt is a place of strength and reward. It's the phone call you receive out of the blue after thinking about that person. Excuse me. It is the force that guides us. It's the only force that we should follow. Intuition reminds us and demands us to trust ourselves and remain true to who we are. Then there comes a point in our path where we elevate above a self-sabotage, because we all do it, and know when it's reared its ugly head, and tame it back into submission, because we all self-sabotage ourselves. And that's when we come to fully, truly trust our intuition. Excuse me. So basically, intuition's a big thing. It's that gut feeling. It's the instinct. It's the, for instance, I don't know if it's trained or what it is. I can generally tell you where north is. It doesn't matter what building I'm in, what town I'm in, or where I'm at. I can generally tell you where north is. I am rarely ever lost, honestly. Confused, but rarely lost. And I can generally find my way back to where I need to go. And that's, I think, really important. I'm following my intuition, my instincts to know where north is. And a lot of the rituals that I do, or the magic that I do, or the spell work that I do is very intuitive. I haven't had a lot of formal training, if you will. I haven't gone through the different levels of training to be a Wiccan priestess or member of the Wiccan tradition, not really feeling the need for it, honestly, but that's okay. Um, or any of the others. And holy cow, hey Aussie, there is a bunch of different traditions and paths out there. Oh my gosh, there are so many. And it's because there are so many that I feel like um, I don't really need to follow any one particular one. Maybe that's why I feel that I'm an eclectic pagan, is because I'm pulling from little bits from several different places. And um, different things resound more with me. For instance, I have my sage, I have some rocks, I have some crystals, I have my candles, but also my cough drops. Because, I'm following my intuition and what it is, um, what it is I need to accomplish. Just like when I cook, for instance, often I'm not cooking with a recipe. I am following my instincts and my intuition partly because I know how the different flavors taste together, but I'm following something other than a recipe to achieve whatever dish it is I'm trying to create. Sometimes it fails, sometimes really horribly fails, but often it generally, um, no batwing powder here. But generally speaking, I totally lost my train of thought there. No batwing powder. I'm just snuffly. Um, generally speaking, I know how different things go together. So intuitively, I know that, for instance, cinnamon and sugar generally go well together. Um, Not so much salt in cinnamon, although sometimes they do. So it kind of depends on what it is you're trying to achieve. And knowing what your intention is helps what is your intuition is telling you. And yes, hi Sonia. Yeah, it's very much like cooking. That's part of the reason why I have a recipe box for a book of shadows rather than a book. So yeah, it's just different parts and different aspects, and you can use that same intuitive operating system in pretty much any aspect of your life. I mean, if you've ever just decided to um, go for a drive, you don't know where you're going to go, you just feel like you need to get out of the house, and it's like, all right, you're going to make a left turn or a right turn? Yeah, I'm going to take a left turn, or I'm going to take a right turn, or, whatever it is. And is it your intuition telling you or your instincts telling you which way to go? Or if you were in a hurry to get home, but suddenly you're like, you know what? I'm not in that much of a hurry. I can slow down a little bit, or I'm going to stop and get, coffee or something on your trip. And you find out if you had just kept going at that same speed and hadn't changed anything, you would have been involved in a really major car accident. So, is that your intuition? That gut instinct, if you will, telling you to slow down, to take a minute, to pause, and, view the world around you just a little bit. And often I think the more we are connected with the world around us, the better we are in tune with our intuition. Because there's so much stuff going out in the world today. Here I am. I'm on a radio show. I'm doing a podcast, YouTube. I've got Facebook. I've got social media platforms. I've got my phone. I've got work. I've got emails. I've got all sorts of stuff going on all the time. And often it's easy to get lost in all of that. And I start shutting down and I ignore my intuition. And um, and it's often to my own detriment. That what did she call it? That self-sabotage, because I've stopped listening to myself. And it's sad because we do this a lot. We get so wrapped up in just the trivialness of the day-to-day life Taking out the garbage, going grocery shopping, paying the bills, and doing all these things that we often forget to connect with the world around us. That's why it's important to stop and breathe and just experience the world for a moment and listen to the wind or watch the birds fly or if you're near water, watch the water lap against the shore or depending if there's a big storm, watch the waves. you know um Either of those. If you're traveling and you have the opportunity to be a passenger rather than a driver, just watch the world go by and just observe it rather than trying to entertain yourself the entire time. I'm not saying that it's not good to do your research and study and such, because it is, but sometimes we learn more just by stopping and listening to ourselves, listening to our inner self and our intuition and our instincts. Um, I know that when I've gone into, say, a rock shop and there's one locally. It's awesome. There's so many rocks there. They're pretty. They're sparkly. Some of them aren't, but most of them are. It's good. And um, I don't always buy something in there. I follow, there's some things that catch my eye that I kind of was like, I kind of want that, but no, I don't need it. But, maybe I will next time or whatever. I'm following kind of my instincts and my budget a little bit. Okay, a lot of bit. Otherwise, I'd have this big giant amethyst thing in the background that is taller than I am. Yeah. Um, but there's some things I've gone into a store and it's like, you know what? No, no, I just don't. I don't think I want anything in here. Just it feels creepy or ooky or the vibe is just wrong. I know we've all been into some place where our gut says, this is not the right place to be. And we need to leave now. I've done that in bars. I've done that in social situations. I've done that in family gatherings and such. Every so often, you just need to take a break and step away. And that's okay. It really is. So when you're choosing runes or stones or crystals or books or any of our tools of the trade that we might use, um, follow your intuition. Think about what it is you're about to do and what you're about to purchase or trade or whatever. Um, feel the energy of what you're encountering, what you're doing, because that energy is there. And if you're not attracted to it, don't just buy it because it's pretty, unless that's your whole goal is to have a bunch of pretty things. Buy what, especially if you're on a budget, buy what it is you need because your intuition says that's what you need first. Um, your own you may have a list of correspondences like plants or gems or stones or something that really calls to you. I have a real strong connection to sunflowers, for instance. Love them. Probably my favorite flower out there. And tiger lilies. I don't know why, but I think they're just awesome. There's just something about them that I loved having around me. I love opals and quartz and pretty much heavy stones. I like this one that I can never remember the name of it. It's brown and it's pokey, and I like to juggle it sometimes. Now, if you really want to know more about it, do your research so you know what it is. But once you have it, um, you know, follow it. Follow your intuition before you purchase something or pick it up. Because if you're going through and someone says, "Hey, here's this athame, you should get it," and you're like, that's just not gonna work for me, then don't do it. I mean, I was looking for an athame for years before I found one I really, really liked. And then I just happened to find one out walking. So, it's those different things that are called to you. And listen to your intuition. It'll warn you when you're about to go into some place that you probably shouldn't be. All right. Hold on just a moment. We've got a caller. Hey, Naysay, how's it going?
Well, hello, Miss Paisley. It pains my heart to hear you going through your little bout of unpositivity.
Yeah, well, in order for the grass to grow, it has to be cloudy and rainy some days, and that's okay.
Absolutely, and with all the excrement that I am full of, at least I'm able to realize from another perspective it's just fertilizer.
Yep, absolutely. Some days it's knee deep, and some days it's hip deep. But yeah, that's all it is. Just fertilizer. So,
Well, I wanted to call in and share an intuition experience that I have. I got two of them
okay.
that I enjoy sharing. The first one that was seemingly one of the most detrimental that I remember is when I was in high school. I believe it was ninth grade or eighth grade, and my older friend had his driver's license,
Mhm.
and we were at a danceteria in Indianapolis where I spent 4 years of my life,
Mhm.
and we were in there dancing, and there was four of us in the vehicle. My friend who was driving, me in the passenger seat, and then a friend of ours that were a couple in the back seat, of course.
Mhm.
So we're in the dance place, and apparently the driver just didn't care to be there. And he came up to me, and he's like, "Hey, Kevin, let's go. Let's get out of here. Let's go to some party or something he wanted to go to." And as soon as he said that, I almost felt like I was going to throw up, and it was like my entire being said, "Don't go."
Oh wow.
And so I said, "Well, let me let me go use the bathroom, and I'll be right back." And so I went to go use the bathroom, and I like was trying to take an assessment of why am I feeling so sick. And then I went into the bathroom, splashed some water on my face, drank some water, and then just as I walked out of the bathroom, another dear friend of mine was right there, and I knew she had a vehicle, and she also lived nearby. And so right away I said, "Hey, can I get a ride home with you, or could I crash at your place?" And she was like, "Yeah, no problem." And so I went back and told my buddy and said, "Hey, I'm going to stay. I got a ride. Everything's cool." And so we said our goodbyes. 2 days go by, and then I walk over to my buddy's house, and the way that his house was set up, I was coming from the left of his house, and his driveway, facing the house, his driveway was on the right of the house.
Mhm.
And his parents' two vehicles were there, and on the opposite side of his parents' vehicle was his car, and it was partially on the grass and the driveway. And I noticed it, but I didn't really notice it.
Uh
And
huh.
I go to the door, knock on the door. He comes to the door, and he's all banged up. And I can't remember if he had his arm in a sling or if he had like gauze wrap around his forearm.
Oh
And
wow.
I'm like, "What happened to you?" And he's like, "Didn't you see my car?" And I'm like, "No." So we walk to his car, and the entire passenger door is caved in.
Oh wow.
That on his way home, we have this little shortcut that goes between hardtop roads,
Mhm.
and it's a gravel road that cuts these two fields in half. And he decided to take a shortcut, and it was just re-graveled, and so a lot of the gravel would get spread out onto the hardtop. And at the end of the road, when he comes up to the stop sign, he slid right through the stop sign on all the gravel because he was going too fast, went across the road, and turned 90 degrees, and the passenger door slammed into this huge tree.
Oh goodness gracious. And you missed it. That's awesome.
And I was like, exactly. And that was exactly how I felt. And I actually got a little weak in the knees when I first saw the door,
Oh, I believe it.
because right away it was that like, it's like, oh my gosh, now I know why I got that that feeling.
Yes.
And it's
Oh, hey, Nacy,
interesting.
real quick. We're about to go to
It's
break, so
yes,
we'll
ma'am.
be right back. I'm just gonna put you on hold real quick, okay?
Okay, sure.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks. Hey, all. We'll be right back if you're not hearing it already. One moment. Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. And I am talking about intuition and kind of your, following that gut instinct that you've got. So, Nace from Minnesota, Minnesota, called in. Are you still there, Nace? Hello.
Thank you again for. Can you hear me?
Yep, you're here. How's it going?
Hello.
Hi. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
It's going. But another one that I wanted to. Well, first of all, what I wanted to say is, it's really interesting that as I gotten older, and because of the challenge I'm going through with my body and trying to maintain optimal health, as I research health and the human body and how incredible, miraculous that it is, that I learned that the skin that is your lips are the same skin as your privates and your rear end, your sphincter. And from your lips all the way to that exit, there is a huge strip of nerves
Okay.
that you have a nervous system that goes from your lips to your rear end. And and the claim is that your brain will get more electromagnetic pulses from that nervous system throughout your digestive system than it receives from your heart. And it makes me ponder, if this is a huge line of nerves, then it's almost like an antenna. And it makes me think of that, trust your gut. So if your digestive system is one huge array of nerves and like threads that are nerves, then wouldn't it not be like an antenna array?
I can see
So it
that.
makes sense to trust your gut.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and it's just so fascinating of how the body does work.
Oh,
But
yes.
another scary one, another scary one that I'll share with you is, I don't know if you know the state of Minnesota, but the oldest fort there is called Fort Snelling, and it was built, I believe, in like 1820 something.
Okay.
And at the riverbed below Fort Snelling is where thousands of Native Americans died from malnutrition or smallpox and whatnot. But
Okay.
along the riverbed of Fort Snelling, they have like a paved manicure path that goes through the woods. And me and a friend of mine were walking this path, and we got to this part where, you know how like sometimes the trees will create like a canopy or like a tunnel?
Mm-hmm.
And we got into this part where it kind of got a little gloomy like that, and it was canopy and blocking out the sun. And we got about 20, 30 yards into that. Then we both, like at the same time, stopped. And then I just said to her, I'm like, do you feel that? And she kind of gave me this nod, and I'm like, let's go. And we both just turned around and just started quick walking.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got to the point of where she broke into a sprint. And, and then I took off after her, and we started laughing about it. But I think it was that total nervous laugh,
Mm-hmm.
because it was, I got that full on, like, you're not welcome here. You need to leave right now. That was the feeling I was feeling, and she just said that she just didn't feel right. Like it just felt creepy, odd. And then the fact that we both stopped at the exact same time, and who knows, that I just throw it out there on the what if, but, trusting my instincts, maybe it was the best thing, maybe it wasn't. But why not throw caution in the wind and take the safer route just in case? Because they're
Right.
called accidents for a reason.
Right. Yeah. Accidents happen when you're not prepared.
And one thing that I wanted to also share with you is today being the new moon where I domicile, that the sun rose at 8:01 this morning. The moon rose at 8:07. The sun set around 6 o'clock, and the moon set, I think it was 20 minutes later.
Hmm.
And this is why I implore people to pay attention to these greater cycles, because through my experiences, when I try to do my magic and not prestidigitation, I'm talking magic with a K,
Mm-hmm.
as I call it, that I am successful when I utilize these synchronicities with the greater cycles than when I just do it willy-nilly.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's all connected. All of that energy is connected. It's not random. It's It's connected, it's related. And so if you're not paying attention to those cycles, it's hard to follow those connections. But yeah, it's very connected, very related, and important.
And 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 if I may ask of you, Paisley, um, do you ever do any research in iconography and symbols?
I have a little bit, um, just because I've needed to, because there's some things that recur often. Um, but I've only kind of touched on it. I haven't gotten very far into it.
Okay. Well, I ask, and maybe anybody in the chat or someone who's listening might know, I have been having a reoccurring vision. Well, I guess I can't call it a vision. Well, I guess I can call it a vision because I still see something even though I'm blind.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a circle with a triangle and a square inside the circle. And a a new TV series just came out on Netflix, and it has audio description. And 3 4 episodes into the series, they talk about finding this symbol on the floor underneath this person's carpet.
Huh.
And
Interesting.
it kind of gave me one of those whoa. And so yeah, so I'm asking around of if anybody knows of that symbol, but it's just a triangle inside a triangle inside. Right, I can't remember if they're overlapping the triangle and the square, but they're inside a circle, and all of the points of the triangle and the square touch the circumference of the circle.
Interesting.
So I don't know how to take the discernment of that yet, but it's something that I've been chewing on now for the last 3 4 days. But I'll let you go,
All right. Well, thank you.
and I
Thanks for
hope
calling
you
in, Nasa. Yeah.
heal rapidly.
Thank you. Oh, I will. It's just I've got my sage going, so I'll feel better, and I got my elderberry and cranberry juice going, and so yeah, I'll be good. Thank you.
Have you ever heard of colloidal silver?
Yes. And I am reluctant to
I've been using
use
colloidal.
it because I have a family member that turned
Oh yeah,
blue from using it. So
I I've been using colloidal silver for 25 years, and I swear by it.
it's good
And
stuff.
and I and I would like to proclaim I rarely get sick, but every time I proclaim I rarely get sick, within a week I'm sick. So I don't want
That's
to
the
jinx
way it
myself.
works. That is the way it works. All right,
Right.
Nase. Well, thank you for calling in. I
Well, thank you
appreciate it.
for being the miracle you are.
Thank you, my dear. Have a good evening.
Toodles.
So yeah, intuition's a big deal, I think, and we need to listen to it. I know there's personally of mine. My sister and I were on our way home to my house, and this has been 25 years ago, ish. Excuse me, or thereabouts. And when we pulled, and it was dark when we got home, and we pulled up, and the porch light was on, and my son was in the back seat, and it just we pulled up, and we're both looking at the house, and I don't turn the car off, and I don't we don't get out of the car. We're not in a hurry to get out and go in. And my sister looks at me and she's like, "Do we have to go in tonight?" And I was like, "Well, no. I suppose we go over to Dad's house." And she's like, "That's good because maybe we should because it just doesn't feel right. It feels very oppressive." And I had to agree with her. It felt like there was this huge looming negative energy spirit type of thing, it just emanating from the house. And it just didn't feel like it was going to be safe to get out and go in that evening, so we didn't, and we left. And I think I was only there for about another month, maybe. After that, it just the whole house just didn't feel welcoming. It never felt like home, and I had been there for a while, and it was just, I don't know. Listen to your instincts. Listen to your gut, and when you're doing that, make sure when on your personal practice, make sure you're you know paying attention as you create your own spells or do your own rituals. What resonates with you specifically, what connects with your intuition, your gut instinct. A friend of mine was talking about, putting the different elements, the different compass points. And she had just read something about, water being to the east instead of to the west. Or maybe it was the other way around. I don't remember exactly now. But, I've heard it both ways also. I think it varies a bit with where you're at. Some of those compass points change. So you have to follow your intuition and make sure that, or not the compass points change, but the orientation of the different elements changes a bit with where you're at and what you're trying to do and whom you're speaking to. So follow your intuition. Now, that being said, if you have a specific tradition that says you have to do something exactly that way, follow it. But same thing goes with any of your rituals, any of your daily practices, or your holidays that you decide you choose to celebrate. Follow your intuition and your instinct. What is fitting in with you more than and what feels right to you. So let's see. So on that note, I figured, well, we'd stop being so serious and read a quickie article. It's not really an article. It's, 10 things that you should do or should not do if you're pagan. Because I love these things. They're kind of hilarious because in a way, they're hilarious. In other ways, they're just, people take these seriously. It's like reading some article in Teen Magazine and it's like, why are you so serious about this? And it's because some people really, really are. So the first one here is stop assuming all pagans are the same. Now this one I think is true, 100%. Not all pagans are the same. We're not. We all have different deities, different paths, different traditions, different. We're all very, very different, and that's okay. That's good. And the next one, really, truly, or the next one is stop trying to fit your new religion into your old one. Basically, that goes back to kind of what I was talking about the other day, or not too long ago. Is you cannot.
You were talking about the dogmas.
Yeah, the dogmas. If you take and you were a Christian and now you are a pagan, and you decide to follow, say, Zeus, you shouldn't follow Zeus the same way you did your Christianity deities. And this article, it's on Learn Religion's website, learnreligions.com. It's Stop Doing These Things If You're Pagan. By Patty Wigington is the one who did the article. So yeah, you cannot, shoehorn a non-pagan or a non-Christian deity into a Christian path. That's kind of, I don't know, it's like wearing shoes that don't fit, the wrong underwear. I don't know. It just, there's a few things wrong with that.
Have your left sock on your right foot.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Next one, super important. Stop ignoring your instinct. Listen to it. I mean, that's part of the reason why we're doing our meditation, our rituals. If you're doing, tarot readings or something, you're really, truly following your instincts. Honest. Stop being silent. There are some things that I agree a little bit on this because I don't feel that you need to get on your soapbox and throw your paganism or your witchcraft into everybody's face and rub their nose in it. I don't think that's appropriate. But at the same time, we've gotten to a point in our society where you shouldn't be afraid to say, yes, I'm pagan. It's not, I know it's not the daisy, so I get it. If you're not there yet, I get it. The next one, I think we mentioned this last weekend. Stop accepting mediocrity.
Mm-hmm.
Be the best you that you can be, whatever it is. If you're a janitor, be the best doggone janitor you could possibly be. Honestly. If you're going to be a writer, be a great writer. The best that you can be. Whatever it is. If you're going to be a stay-at-home mom, be a stay-at-home mom. Embrace yourself. Be the best you that you can be. Don't settle for mediocrity. Life is too short, honestly, to accept less than the best that you can be. So stop neglecting the natural world. And I think we're moving that direction a little bit, being more aware and taking better care of the world around us. Now, I'm not an environmentalist. I'd make a horrible environmentalist, actually. But you should pay attention to the world around you and connect with it, because it will tell you things. Seriously. Stop wasting time.
Mm-hmm.
If you say you don't have time to study, well, seriously, stop and consider how much time you spend on Facebook, or playing a stupid video game, or watching TV. If you have time to do all of those meaningless things,
You have time to do something constructive.
you have time to do something meaningful. 100%. Stop judging people is the next one. Seriously, it's a big one. This is a big one. You should not just other faiths, other religions, but also one another's. I mean, seriously. Some of the biggest prejudice almost that I see in witchcraft and paganism is between the different traditions. That's why witch wars happen, which I think is just... First time I heard witch wars, it's like, what book are you reading? And who's the fantasy author? It's like, seriously? That's a thing? It kind of blew my mind a little bit, because it's like, for crying out loud, accept one another. It's okay to accept someone just as they are without trying to change them. Honestly, most of us take a long time to get to where we are, to the point where we can accept ourselves. We don't need to... Yeah, we don't have time to try to change ourselves to meet whatever you think our perfect is, or your interpretation of our perfect. So just accept us. Stop trying to change us. And stop judging us for just being ourselves. If that means...
more than a week to become a witch.
True statement. My hair is blue and red, or purple. Don't judge me for it. I think it's awesome. It hides all those grays. Hey, at least I have hair.
And I wear my gray.
Yeah, and your hat. I see you wear a hat a lot.
Oh.
Yes. Do your own studying. It's good. And the last one is stop making excuses. Goodness. Sonia, you're funny. In 2 weeks, not one. So if you say you don't have time to study, but you just spent an hour watching silly cat videos on YouTube, by golly, just think of how much better your world could be if you had stopped making it an excuse and do something about it. Pick up a book. I've got one right here. Frigid. Oh, that looks backwards. It does. Anyways, this is a book by Courtney Weber. I also got the Morgan. Quick Punch. Yep, those are backwards. Basically, Courtney Weber is a gal that I get to meet tomorrow. I'm super stoked. She wrote both of these. The Morrigan, Celtic Goddess of Magic and Might, and Brigid, History, Mystery, and Magic of the Celtic Goddess. Totally stoked. I'm going to be interviewing her tomorrow, and I will be airing the interview next weekend. And depending on how the edits fall out, it may be both a Friday and Saturday. So I'm super excited. It'll be good. We got a lot going on this weekend. So this sniffly thing I got going on needs to stop. I don't have time.
More elderberry.
Yes. I'm going to go have a glass of elderberry wine with a splash of mead.
So I heard Naysay suggest colloidal silver. The only problem is if you drink too much colloidal silver, you turn blue like a Smurf.
Yeah. Yeah, that's... I don't need to be blue. My hair's blue. Close enough. Garlic? Yes.
Garlic, yes.
So, people also say, well, my family can't, won't accept me if I'm pagan. Okay. Well, that doesn't mean you can't be pagan. Just maybe don't shove it in their face. I mentioned that already.
I'm trying to think of something to say about, knocking on doors. Hi, do you have a moment to talk about the Morgan?
Hey, there's nothing wrong with it. I think I have to tell you, I really want just some random paperwork to hand the next religious person knocked on the door.
They're in the wrong spot.
Oh, I know.
Sorry, you're not in town anymore.
Right? Well, I think it's funny because people do. They come out here to proselytize just like they do everywhere else. They generally just leave their paperwork on the step and leave. I don't know that they've actually ever knocked on the door. But then we've got there's big dogs in the house, and they make the woof woof woof, the big noises. And granted, if you showed up with a cheeseburger, they'd probably let you in. But it's a serious thing. So, anyways, yeah, if your spouse doesn't believe in magic, or you don't necessarily believe in magic, or if you don't believe in magic, why are you looking at paganism? I'm not sure there, but there's a bunch of things. So anyways, I just thought that was an interesting article. 10 things to stop doing if you're pagan. Mostly, by golly, be open-minded. Listen to your inner self. Tune into the world around you. Listen to your instincts. I know, right now, my heart, my brain, my tummy wants chocolate ice cream. I really do, because I love chocolate ice cream. But logic tells me, no, I should probably take some cold medicine and go to bed. And leave the ice cream for another day. Part of that's being an adult and accepting my limitations. There's nothing wrong with knowing your limitations. Don't wallow in them, though.
Aussie Tiger says everything's good in moderation.
You bet your buttons. Some of that spicy red stuff that you seem to like?
Oh, I love it. It's good for the heart.
Yeah, I'll give you some honey mustard next time.
Whatever.
Yeah. So, just listen to your instincts. The more you listen to them, the more you tune into them, just like any other tool, the more you use it, the more familiar you're with it. The more you're familiar with it, the better tool it is. And the better you are able to use it and rely upon it.
Like a spoon and a bowl of ice cream.
Yeah, I was thinking like a master craftsman making a ring.
Okay.
I mean, Minnie Paisley can get out some clay and make a ring. Is it something I'm going to wear? Probably not, because it looks like a lumpy snake, and it is, like trying to wrap a dollar bill around my finger. But, bless her little heart, she's trying. But a master jeweler can sit down and has an eye for that detail, and is willing to tune into what he's doing in his craft, and he's finally tuned to that skill, finally honed that skill. Your intuition's the same way. Sure, you can be a 5-year-old with some clay, or you can, learn to hone that skill, and turn it into just a high quality tool that'll serve you well throughout your life. I can't think of the number of times that I was going to rush home but decided, nope, I'm going to take my time, or decided to go ahead and hurry up rather than being slow and pokey. And just this past couple months, there have been some significant accidents that if my timing had been a little different and I had followed my regular schedule, then I would have been involved in those accidents. That's pretty scary. So, listen to your gut. Listen to your instincts. It's a big deal. Next weekend, you're going to hear the interview with Courtney Weber. We're going to be talking about the Morgan, Celtic goddess of magic and might. And wildpaisley@gmail.com. WILDEBAISLEY@gmail.com. So thanks, guys. Merry meet, merry part. Merry meet again. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Sisters of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea. I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me the songs of Mother Goddess and the Father in the tree.